Hello everyone, it's Omae and welcome back to the brand new video. Today I wanted to go through each part of the new One Piece Day Sugo-Fest and discuss whether or not you should be pulling here or there, and also is part 1 even worth it. There's a lot of misconception about part 1, but one thing to note about the Sugo-Fest is that we do have anniversary exclusive legends available. These units are way more rare than Super Sugo units, so when you're deciding which part to pull on, take a hard look at the anniversary units available. It's extremely important. We have a lot of amazing anniversary exclusive units, so definitely keep a lookout for that. But first thing I wanted to say is part 1 is a massive trap, right? We all know this. You can get absolutely shafted on part 1 since every unit is available, but specifically on this Sugo-Fest, part 1 has a lot of horrible units rate boosted. Yes, we have what's his face, Zoro versus Luffy, who is still a great PvE character, but in PvP not really used. They do have a way to be used, but there's always better options than running both of these characters, especially on the world government team. Luffy is just, he's not pulling weight. Like over time he does a decent amount of damage, but most of his damage is being nerfed down to health thanks to a lot of defense up on modern rumble teams. Versus Zoro did get rumble buffs a few months ago, but still I don't really use him a lot. I never see anyone else use him as well. He's all right. A few other legends we have available here. Emmett, not horrible, but really doesn't see a much play whatsoever, and also in PvP is horrible. Kuma, not so good. Mihawk has a great special. The rest of these units here are pretty bad. I mean, Perona and Mora is pretty good sub, has a great special ability, but most of these units are fodder, right? So don't think that these have the rate boosted legends are any good, right? The most likely outcome is you'll get a bunch of old rubbish legends that you don't even want, and as I said, Zoro versus Luffy is great, but another versus legend with Zoro I'll be talking about later on has so much more value. And a common misconception is that you can have a higher chance of pulling the new characters on part 1. That is not the case. You have the exact same chance of pulling one of the new characters on part 1 as you have pulling Loki on part 2. The only difference here is that the rate is split between the 4 characters, whereas on part 2 all the rate goes to Loki. That's the main difference here. You won't have a higher chance of pulling the new characters, so I highly recommend do not pull here. We also have the 50% red rate step. Even then, I don't think you should be pulling on part 1. A lot of people say that you should go up to step 10 here, but it's so easy to get shafted. And I mean, they used to put this as a guaranteed all legend step, but over time it's reduced down to 50%. It's ridiculous. We have a lot more just rate boosted character steps, no limited pull or super limited pull like on parts 2 to 6. And even if you go to step 30, you're not guaranteed to get a specific character you want. It's only going to be a random one of these 4. So if you want Vivi, especially if you do pull one of these characters early on, which is very likely in 30 multis that you will pull one of the new characters at least, there's a chance that step 30 will be a duplicate of that character, which you really do not want, okay? It does go up to step 60, whereas other parts end at step 30, but I really just wouldn't recommend it, right? If you want to know what the steps look like after step 30, it's just a repeat, the exact 1-for-1 repeat of steps 1 to 30, just with extra steps here. So I wouldn't recommend pulling on part 1. Horrible rate boosted characters, and then the steps are also just horrid, right? But parts 2 to 5, I would say all these individual parts are pretty good. Like, it's actually very difficult to rank them. Now we do actually have a new addition to the Sugo-Fest, that being Mars, Saturn, as well as Valkyrie and Jupiter. These were any exclusives that came out shortly after the 12th any units, and these characters will have very good value for your world government teams. But also now with all these Albaf striker units, these units will have increasing value. So on part 2, I think we have the Mars and Saturn here. Part 4, we have Valkyrie and Jupiter alongside Luffy, Zoro, and then part 2 we have Mars, Saturn alongside Loki. So I'm gonna go through all these parts, evaluate the Sugo pool, the anniversary pool, and then also the regular legends. Of course, regular legends we don't care about as much. Even if the part has horrible noble legends, if the other pools are up to scratch, then it still makes the part amazing. You can get all these units from limited tickets, even regular tickets. Very easy to get these characters over time. And anniversary exclusives, as I said before, we are going to take the most consideration from them due to how uncommon these celebrations are. We only have 3 anniversary Sugo-Fest exclusive Sugo-Fest in the entire year. We have the One Piece Day, which celebrates the start of the One Piece franchise. We have the global OPTC celebration, or worldwide celebration, whatever you want to call it, in I think February. And then we have, of course, the Japan anniversary in May, which is the big one for the year, right? So these are very uncommon characters. So part 2 here, we have Loki. So besides the actual legends that are available here, we have to take a look at how good are each of these new characters, which ones are most worth going for. This is very important to consider. So it is quite hard to rank these characters, and I will definitely discuss them in depth in a separate video, ranking them, which units do I think are the better of the new characters. But 100% I can tell you guys, Gaban is the worst character of the 4 new legends. Easily the lowest value unit. This character is a damage merchant. That's all he does. He only has one gimmick that he's getting around, attack down, and then when it comes to his damage boosting effects, he gives a conditional boost, but he doesn't even proc it himself. You need to bring someone else to give him some backup, carry him, proc that conditional boost. So he's very awkward to use. And we do have this new territory nullification effect, which you can consider utility, but in 90% of content where there is an enemy territory, an enemy effect that will reduce your damage by 66%, all you need to do is apply your own territory effect, and that will remove the enemy territory anyways. So this effect currently doesn't have too much use. We are speculating that they'll introduce more enemy territories over multiple stages to make this a more necessary effect. But for now, what makes it even weirder is that Gaban is a unit that you want to use Dex and Striker territory before his special to make it stronger. So in any case, you will be using territory effects to get the full effect from Gaban, but the territory nullification is super unnecessary in that case because you can just replace the territory instead of having to remove it. So I just don't see the utility in this character. He's of course giving us a lot of damage from super orbs, the Rush Sugo special, damage limit break class. He's providing a massive attack boost and conditional boost. He's modifying your orbs up to massive multipliers. Even if you don't have a Dex territory, he's putting it up for the team. So he's great for damage, but at the end of the day, he will get outdated very, very soon, similar to how Luffy and Zoro and Sanji from the 10th anniversary were, or wait, 11th anniversary, my bad. So when we're talking about the parts, even though part 4 here with, or part 3 with Gaban is an amazing part, we have so many heavy hitters here. Nikabani, 12th Annie Shanks, Jupiter is still so good. 11th anniversary Kizaru, easily the best aging and still extremely powerful of the 11th anniversary characters. Luffy versus Kaido, the One Piece Day character for 2023. This unit I still use almost every month, the versus Luffy counterpart in PvE. It's so broken. Then we have 10th anniversary Gear 5, still an amazing character but not used as much. So this is a really strong Sugo pull. But then also the anniversary exclusives. We have what is probably the most valuable Annie exclusive in the entire game, Zoro versus Nustro, mainly for the versus Zoro counterpart, which is used so commonly in both PvE and PvP. Nustro isn't as good in PvP and also not so much in PvE, but he still has really powerful ceilings. If you use him properly, he's providing a lot for the team. And he works really well if you have the V2 Strength Saturn Legend as well. But that unit is just so busted, bro. Still amazing. We have Yamato and Momo, not as great, but still not a horribly valued unit. But you do need a lot of other characters for this unit to work in PvP, like Kaido and Big Mom, Drake and Apu, Otama and Shinobu, all these other slasher striker units. But with the new Gaban and Luffy and Zoro, that slasher striker team with this unit might become relevant, so keep a lookout for that. Zoro and Kaku, not a horrible unit actually, but very seldomly used. They have very powerful switch effect. They give overrideable attack boost and orb boost, which is super powerful. It means that other units can get their maximum specials. If they have an effect that states if you have an existing attack boost gives another effect, then you get both buffs from that unit special if you have an overrideable buff existing. So this is extremely powerful. He's giving defense down to 0-3 immunities. That's obviously great for proccing conditional boosts, but also for getting around enemy defense up. He's one of the only units in the game to extend a conditional boost by 2 turns with a switch effect. So great unit for that. He also has attack down reduction here. Just a really solid PvE unit, never used in PvP though. He does have very strange classes though. I mean, slasher shoot is quite weird, and not the craziest special if I'm being honest, but still a great pickup to get. Then we have Odin and Akazaya Samurai. This unit is incredibly valuable for PvE. The amount of damage they provide is unbelievable. They get around paralysis orbs, regular turns of paralysis, weak chain boundaries. You can activate them in the previous turn with their 3-turn chain boundary and block it, and just generally a great captain effect as well, getting around special rewind. They also have the invaluable captain shift ability, which I really wish the new Zoro and Luffy had. But this allows you to swap him and some other units as being the captain. You can have him as the captain for the turns where you need a special rewind negation, changing orbs into 1-0, and then you can swap into another captain. He also gets around hunger stacks, has a pretty decent super tandem ability, and then also a decent super effect to buff your attack and orb boost and get around instant burn. Overall, just a really solid unit, especially since he got the former Roger Pirates tag. Keep a lookout for that. So many units have been buffed from the new tag update. This is one of those characters. I really wish we got the Dogstorm included in this character. Then he would have also gotten the royalty former tag, but unfortunately that's not how it is. But then we have Roger. So this is a character you think might be much more valuable from the new tag update, except for the fact that Bandai is sneaky and didn't give him his tags, former Roger Pirates, because he is very similar to the new Kizuna Roger legend. They're both deck slashers who get around what's his face special bind. So they can be interchangeable sometimes, but either way, this unit is a XP booster as well as a berry boosting captain, so very valuable for a new player to get. But unfortunately, you won't really see play with all these new characters because of the lack of his tags. So this is definitely one of the units that was shafted from the new tag update. Ridiculous, right? But either way, we also have Kobe here, one of the only units in the game that allows you to swap any character of your choosing to the captain. So he's pretty cool for this, and it's also very easy to proc that. All you need is a fighter or cerebral captain, but regardless, it is only a 1-turn captain swap, so you can't use it to get around enemy captain swaps. When the enemy tries to swap a random unity or captain, usually you can activate a 2 or 3-turn captain swap in the previous stage to block that. This is not a type of unit that you can use for that, and otherwise the unit is quite lackluster. But still not a horrible unit in PvP as well, especially if you don't have someone like Christmas Uta. Then he's a decent utility unit to replace. I'm pretty sure he gives pretty massive haste buffs and also special CT. And then Roger and Toki, this unit is pretty mediocre, sometimes used in what's its face. Oh, my timer went off, my bad. Sometimes used in co-op, but there's so many better options. Overall, this is a fairly strong anniversary Sugo-Fest pool. If Zoro versus Nustro wasn't there, I would definitely be a lot more skeptical, but the anniversary pool is very solid. And then we also have a lot of insane Super Sugo units here, as I mentioned earlier. The regular legends as well, I think, are pretty solid. The main units you'd actually look out for here are the Boa Sisters. They have so many effects in their kit, and they are striker-centric characters, so they will age amazingly with Elbaf. Same goes for Bonnie actually, but she's more used on Rumble teams. But then you also have characters like Alba here who have amazing PvE use. I used him so much. He has the speed and bind reduction innately as a captain. He generates 1-0 orbs with his super type and also naturally with his captain effect. He locks those slots so he can get around all types of negative orbs. He gets around defense up through immunities, instant burns, resilience. He provides so much damage. Just an insane unit in PvE, but his PvP is of course useless. The rest of them are not so much amazing. Versus Whitebeard is great, but you don't need him. Versus Whitebeard, if you don't know, is an amazing captain because he gets around both Despair and Blow Away, and he also gives cooldown, so he's pretty decent for speed farming. But then the versus Blackbeard form is pretty hard. Hiyori is pretty nice for setting all of your slots to Wano at the start of the quest, but I mean that's the only use for her. She's not used so much anymore since treasure map mini bosses were removed. But that's my basic thoughts on all these units here. I think part 3 is the strongest of them all, for sure, but the problem is that Gaban is the least valuable. So if you are planning to build up a team with Gaban on, then definitely part 3 is the most valuable for you, but definitely keep in mind that Gaban will age the most poorly. Part 2 with Loki. So this is the one that everyone's going to be considering the most because of course big Loki is on the team. Now, do I think he's the best of the new 4 characters? Maybe, but I do believe that these other 2 characters, Vivi and Zoro and Luffy, are going to age somewhat better than Loki. Loki's still a really powerful character. He doesn't have too many requirements in his abilities, whereas someone like Gaban or the Vivi has a lot of conditions for them to work. I mean, as a captain, he's providing a lot. Utility for chain minimum attack down, the paralysis turn mechanic, not paralysis orbs. None of that is being reduced, but then also the new territory nullification effect. I talked about him in a previous video, so go check that out. The one where I talk about the new enemy territory nullification effect, I discussed his captain ability in depth, but I do think it is still really powerful, but definitely not as amazing as some of these other characters in terms of the captain effect. The special is amazing, but at the same time, if the enemy does not have the weakness class to one of these, then the advantageous class effect buff is literally doing nothing. You're getting no damage increase. So in some situations, his special really isn't providing much damage. And as a captain, he gets this ability to set his special launch status to 1, which gets a massive 9.2x maximum attack boost from his special. But if he's not the captain, he cannot activate the EX super, which definitely hinders him a lot because this attack boost will be maximum 6x. And he's not providing any other damage boosting effect here besides the advantageous class buff and only utility for bind. As a captain though, he's great. As a friend captain, I think he might be even better because you can choose which quick captain you put in there to get 14 turns of cooldown. So almost any quick unit can have pseudo double special activation if you use him properly as a friend captain. But I do think he's hindered heavily by the fact that he cannot be using his EX super as a sailor, but still an extremely powerful unit in PvE. He also of course has the Rush Sugo special, which makes his damage absolutely ridiculous. I think this character's main usage will actually come out of Rumble because he's like one of the only units in the game doing massive regular damage and then still doing massive damage ignoring defense. He also does the new effect to remove or cleanse attack down on the team. This makes a way larger difference than you might think, and I think this is going to be one of the main reasons we use him. He's kind of like Shamrock done right. Like Shamrock was heavily focused on doing damage, but he didn't really succeed in that, now did he? He needs a lot of help. But yeah, Loki also has an amazing passive effect, giving some ridiculous levels of very impactful buffs like defense up, speed up. Giving the enemy speed down is ridiculously good. I have level 10. This is a, I think, 50 reduction in enemy speed stats, which definitely changes the game. He also is great for your mainly giant focus teams. and he is a royalty character, so he gets all these buffs from the new Vivi, treasure map legend Rebecca, all of them giving massive CT reductions to royalty tags. Loki is benefiting from that. But then also he has the 400 HP per interval healing while evading special bind. He has a ridiculously high speed stat in the first place, and I think when you rumble key him, he might actually have the best speed stat in the game, or at the same level of Emu, right? And then I haven't actually looked at his GP stuff, but either way, in PvE, oh my days, bro. In PvP, he's a beast. In PvE, I'm not sure if he's the best of the three. But yeah, Loki is definitely worth pulling for. But as for him being the best of the four, I'm not 100% sure on that. But the part surrounding him is also really solid. I mean, we do have the new Mars and Saturn. Between him and the other dual Elder Legend, I think this one is much better in PvE, whereas the Valkyrie and Jupiter is better in PvP. So I guess whatever you value the most between those. But then we have a lot of amazing Super Sugo units. One thing about this part is that it includes a lot of characters that were buffed from the new former Roger Pirates and former royalty tag. Definitely these units like Shanks from the 10th anniversary, Roger Odin, I think this unit is heavily underrated, and now with the new tag for former Roger Pirates is definitely going to see more play. Same goes for Roger Gaban, who came out from last year. And then also we have the Shanks versus Kid Legend. Versus Shanks, of course, has the former Roger Pirates tag. But then also we have the 12th anniversary Luffy. This unit is still incredible in both PvE and PvP. And now that we have stronger Dex units, I think he's also going to get a lot better, right? We have V2 Saturn here. Between him and the V2 Nustro from the Zoro versus Nustro, this unit is still just so good and probably the most valuable of the 5 Elder characters. Maybe not as much as the new dual Elders, or newer. They're pretty old by now. They're like 3 months old. But either way, this unit is doing a lot, providing so much damage, getting around gimmicks. And if you have the treasure map Stellar Legend, the strength one, as well as the strength Kizuna Atlas, then you can use them to get this character special twice in the same quest. Since he's a scientist tag, he benefits a lot of these Vegapunk units who have a scientist restrictions. Overall, still really good in PvE, and still definitely a decent option in PvP, doing some good spread damage. Then we have Mars. Of the 5 original Elder characters, I think he's probably the most valuable in PvP. Even as a second copy in unevolved form, he's great suicide units that can get around or give the enemy a lot of damage, but also give the team a lot of special CT speed up buffs. Overall, pretty valuable for PvP, not so much for PvE, but still definitely I think the best of the V1 Elders in terms of aging in PvP. He's still very present on teams. And as I said before, Roger Gaban, great for the new Roger Pirate characters. He's still doing a lot for the team, and he synergizes quite well with both Gaban and the new Luffy Zoro. Luffy Zoro has a part of their special where if you have a Dex territory or an Int territory on the field, then gives a 1.75x chain multiplicative buff, and this character allows you to get that Int territory up. The abilities here do somewhat clash since they both give a color affinity, but Luffy and Zoro still provide a separate effect, giving the enemy weakened status if you have an existing color affinity. So you can pop this guy's special and then still get the weakened status on the enemy. Although now that I think about it again, they both give chain multiplicatives. Ignore what I said. Versus Shanks, still really valuable for his conditional boosts. 10th anniversary Shanks not used as much, but still extremely high damage potential. And if you're struggling on local sea monster, he makes it a joke for Grand Voyage, of course. Roger and Odin. This unit gets around the Despair debuff, provides 1/0 orbs. The EX Super is quite powerful, giving you all these orb manipulations and a base attack boost. He also has access to the Rush Sugo special and has a heavily damage focused special. So still not a horrible unit to use in a lot of situations. So on the Super Sugo side of things, I think it's quite powerful because we also have the OG Sai Gear 5 in his pre-super evolution state. So if you're a new player and you didn't get him from the beginner banner, then this is definitely a character you want to pick up. He gets around easily the most gimmicks in the entire game. He's like Legend Carrot, evading all enemy defensive effects besides defense up and resilience, but he's also getting around the special rewind and bind debuffs in his captain effect. He also gets around the death hits with his revive mechanic, so he's so good, man. He still has Rush Sugo special. Yes, his damage boosting effects aren't as powerful, but in most content it's still good enough. As long as it's not super boss, he's providing enough damage. He's still just really solid. Not in PvP though. Zoro, I think this unit is still really powerful. He has quite a strong super tandem effect for such an old unit. 2.5x is nothing to scoff at, and 0.25x added to all of your damage boosting effects. That is insane. His special also gives quite a bit, an attack boost and a conditional boost, and then also orb modifier buff and also one orbs. Pretty good unit. But the anniversary exclusive, this is really important. As I said, we have Mars and Saturn. Their special is unbelievably powerful. They give you 3 turns of barrier reduction, 7 turns of bind reduction, gives the enemy defense to 0-3 immunities, getting around defense up and proccing conditional boosts. And then also he will give the enemy increased damage taken of 3x. For 6 turns. It's actually crazy. So he's going to work really well if you have V2 Nustro, from the Zoro versus Nustro legend, because that Nustro will reduce enemy increased damage taken by 5 turns and then give a massive advantageous class effect buff. So this unit giving a 6 turn buff, or debuff should I say, will allow you to keep the increased damage taken and also give the full potential from versus Nustro. And then also a powerhouse territory, which is quite rare. Not many units provide that, and also a base attack boost. Additionally, he has Rush Sugo special, and then also will provide you recovery slots from the super swap to get around hunger stacks, and an overrideable attack boost with an actual good multiplier. So you can just use this independently as an attack boost, but also use it to a benefit from other units like versus Zoro, who gives you a set target status to the enemy if you have an existing attack boost. Then if you use this character alongside him, you'll get both Zoro's massive attack boost and the enemy set target status. But that's just a hypothetical. They don't synergize, but I'm just giving you an example for overrideable buffs, right? Kaido and Big Mom did gain the former royalty tag from Big Mom. I don't know, maybe she married some form of royalty back in the day, and all the Big Mom pirates actually have their former royalty tag. It's actually insane, man. But either way, she might see more play from this, and being a slasher striker in PvE, I did pull her on debut, and not a horrible unit in PvE. I mean, a full board of 1 orbs from her super swap, so long as the enemy doesn't have give you block horse slots, then yeah, she's doing a lot for the team. And in PvP, if you have the rest of the slasher striker team, not bad either, providing some good DPS. Luffy and Lucci, the shooter team isn't too strong right now, but it's still a really powerful unit to have. And also for PvE, there's quite a bit in their kit that is unique and hard to replace. Katakuri Big Mom, a great unit to stall out the enemy on defense teams in Rumble, and in PvE sometimes used to block blowaway as a captain. Overall, very valuable unit, especially with the former royalty tag. Cross guild, not bad. Shanks, I think, is underrated. Incredible special. And then Kid Luffy, also extremely underrated, does a lot in his kit, but he's a bit long to use. Like, he's not a speed farming character. You have to build him up first before he becomes broken. I think this part has the weakest regular legends. I don't think any of these characters is remarkable. None of them are units that I use often. Like, I'm not even going to describe each of them. They are just not very good. A lot of them have great support effects, like this Bonnie, for instance, has a 1.75x conditional attack boost for increased damage taken whenever a Luffy, Chopper, or Jinbei gets inflicted with bind and paralysis. Those are the units that she supports, right? So very cool support ability, but other than that, not so good of a character. So I mean, part 2 is extremely strong. I wouldn't blame anyone for pulling here. The Super Sugo pull and any exclusive pull is extremely powerful. Loki is definitely a valuable character, but unfortunately Loki really needs the new Vivi to work super amazingly, right? So if you're just going for Loki, it's gonna make it a bit rough, right? So overall, part 2 definitely has a better legend from the debut pool than Gaban's part, but a bit of a weaker overall part than part 4. Part 3 though, part 3. Part 4, let me take a look at this one. So we have Luffy and Zoro as the debut character. I think this part is actually the strongest overall, in terms of each pool of legends. The any exclusives, the Super Sugos, and even the regular legends are amazing on this part. So Luffy and Zoro, I think, is a contender for being the most valuable unit from the new batch, in PvE anyways. I haven't done a full analysis on them for PvP, but for PvE, man, this unit is providing the most damage, providing the most utility, while having the least restrictions. I mean, I guess you could say Loki has a few less restrictions, but this character does become better if you fulfill certain conditions. But even when you're not fulfilling them, he's still doing a lot for the team, man. Overall, if you use him properly, you can get the color affinity of 6x for 3 turns. You can get a enemy weakened status through immunities. You can also get a damage reduction based attack boost from starting off in the Luffy form, and you also get this massive increased damage taken through immunities from the super swap. So he's providing both the increased damage taken and the weakened status, which complement each other wonderfully, both through immunities. You don't know how valuable that is, but then also providing a 3-turn 6x color affinity, reducing paralysis in the special, unlike Loki, will allow you to also get around paralysis orbs, converting them into matching. So overall, this character is extremely... Oh, and a 1.75x multiplicative chain buff for 3 turns. Bro, I can't get past this unit. But not just that, the EX Super is incredible. You can get around special rewind or just charge your specials, and also get around enemy defense up and proc defense down conditional boosts. Additionally, he can work on int teams and on dex teams. He provides his own super tandem tandem slots to perform super tandem, and he has all these amazing tags: 4 Emperors, Mythical Zoan type, Destroy Pirates, Worst Generation, Albevok. It's amazing. He also has damage limit break class and the super tandem effect, so he's the host of the super tandem. Amazing. Overall, I think he's definitely either him or Vivi might be the most valuable and most well-aging characters of the new batch, I must say. So the part 4 already has that going for it. It has the new Luffy and Zoro, but then we also have extremely powerful Super Sugo units, and also pretty good anniversary legends and amazing pool of regular legends. So once again, we have units that have incredibly benefited from the new tag update. Both Kuma, the former king of the Sorbet Kingdom, having now the former royalty tag, and also former 7 warlords tag. Well, I think he had 7 warlords before that even, but Buggy now has the former 7 warlords tag, and also former Roger Pirates. So him being a slasher while being a Roger Pirate unit, he's gonna synergize amazingly with these characters. He's also providing an attack boost and despair reduction, set target status. He's providing that in territory, which very well works with the new Luffy and Zoro. And he also provides that damage reduction, which goes really well with the damage reduction based attack boost from the new Luffy. Really good characters to synergize with Luffy and Zoro, actually. And none of these buffs conflict with him. So yeah, this is really good. Not so much with Gaban, they both give an attack boost, but otherwise, yeah, really good for Luffy and Zoro, actually. But also just generally for the 4 Emperors team, he's providing a lot of value here. And in PvP, he's still such a cool unit, fun to use, but also not just cool, but also just really powerful in the first place. He does a lot for the team utility wise, but then also when it comes down to it, he does end up providing damage ignoring defense, which is so good, man. such an amazing character to have on your account, and not bad in GP as well. Has an extremely powerful and unique burst effect. But then Kuma, no matter how many months go by, this unit still stays as good as he was on release. Like, for the team, he's providing so much. Like, especially, okay, this is kind of a side note, but if you have the Robin and Crocodile Kizuna Legend, then both Buggy and or mainly Kuma, you really want to have, because Robin and Crocodile as a captain states that whenever a Warlord character uses their special, gives the enemy increased damage taken through immunities, and that unit has, I think, the captain shift effect, so you can swap them from being the captain and then bring someone else in. But this kind of a unit, Kuma, works so well on a cerebral class basis with Robin and Crocodile. But generally, just this unit is doing so much as a captain. Whenever you see the pesky blowaway debuff, just use Kuma. Whenever there's bind or special bind, use Kuma, because he can resist both of them by himself, and special rewind. He also says all of your orbs into rainbow slots, so whenever you see paralysis, poison, block, super block orbs, use Kuma. As a sailor, even as a sailor, he can activate his EX super, give himself and the captain basically double special activation. So I mean, this is still such a broken effect, man. I can't believe it. But then also, he's providing 2 color affinities. He's healing you at overheal HP, so you can survive death hits. He's getting around like very low amounts of special rewind with his special here, of course. He's applying territory. Giving the enemy set target status is so good as well. This unit is just unbelievably good in PvE. But then on the PvP side of things as well, if you're running Luffy and Bonnie, he essentially guarantees that their special will activate. And he's also providing some decent damage himself. I mean, this unit, he's providing healing to everyone. Like, this part of the passive, don't underestimate how good this is. This can save your team so much. That healing every time you take damage is so good, man. Yeah, Kuma, he's just aging like fine wine. So having him on the pot with Buggy is so amazing. Yes, we have the V1 elders. I do think Nustro kind of has fallen off. We don't have a lot of good Psy units right now, but I think once the Psy team reestablishes itself, Nustro will become a much better unit. But for now, not so much. V1 Saturn, though, I think is still an amazing character. He's a striker, so he's getting a lot of buffing from the new Elbaf units. So that's great. Whitebeard and Ace, not so much used, but still great for high damage content. Blackbeard versus Law. The versus Blackbeard form is still an amazing unit in Rumble. I mean, basically, whenever you're making a team, he can provide value, even if he doesn't synergize. Like, I use a Dex team with this guy on it. Because of how much debuffing he's providing the strongest dot in the game. Level 10 dots to the enemy is the strongest in the game by far. What this means is that whenever the enemy performs a normal attack, they lose 50% of their HP. And this lasts for 15 seconds. He delays the enemy, so they're more likely to perform a normal attack over their special. I mean, Blackbeard is just insane. And Law is still an amazing unit for PvE as well. So still don't sleep on that unit. Yamato, Deal Yamato, right? This unit was used in the recent Kizuna quite a bit. They provide a really unique combination of effects in their special. Still a unit I miss on my main account, so come on, man. Still an amazing unit. I want them on my account. Dual Big Mom, not Dual Big Mom. Dex Big Mom, not really used anymore. Rush Sanji, not used anymore. Fighter Free Spirit is just a tragic class combination to have nowadays. So unfortunate, right? Blackbeard Kuzan, insane in Rumble. Not so much in PvE though. Valkyrie and Jupiter, they get around blowaway in their special, which is very unique. But overall, I think their main usage comes from PvP. If you think about the new Ja Rule legend, he's the best defensive character in the game because he's providing damage ignoring defense evasion and a massive shield. Valkyrie and Jupiter is the runner up here. He has the second best defensive effects in his abilities here. He's providing a level 5 shield, which is 2500 HP shield. Even if the enemy does 10,000 damage, the shield absorbs that before disappearing. And then we also have interval healing. but a 50% chance to evade damage ignoring defense. So there are reliability concerns here. If you have horrible RNG, you could get screwed over. He's also providing massive 60% of his recovery as healing. Well, I think, yeah, that level 2, level 3 would be 90%. I'm not 100% sure, but he's definitely one of the most amazing behavior patterns for healing in the game. And also he's evading recovery bind, right? Especially if you are building up that world government team, he's kind of an essential piece, right? And you can't replace him with Ja Rule. That you're on separate teams. So these two are amazing. The Dragon Ivankov Kuma, they are powerful, but the Revolutionary Army team is just not that great, so I can't recommend him. A Snake, she's not bad for shooter teams in Rumble, not so much used in PvE though. She's great for the Alvida Grand Voyage if you haven't cleared it yet at level 5, but other than that, not too crazy. Kaida Alba, I really like this unit, but at the end of the day, they are too focused on Driven and Powerhouse to be good enough. Nowadays, Driven Powerhouse isn't that crazy, but still a great unit to have, right? Blackbeard, on paper, not bad, but never used. Ace is heavily outdated. So, I mean, the anniversary exclusives are quite weak, I think, on this banner. Besides the first two here, the rest of them, none of them are, like, amazing, right? Like, Blackbeard Kuzan and Valkyrie Jupiter are the only ones that grab my attention. The Super Sugos are powerful, and the new debut legend is amazing though, so I do think it's worth pulling on, especially since we have so many heavy hitters on the regular legend pool. Nami Vivi, this unit I can yap on about all day, man. So good. So they super switch gives the enemy defense to 0 through immunities and a chain additive buff, of course. Their super special will give the enemy increased damage taken and reduce their own cooldown by 9, so there's a chance you can use her special twice in the same quest. But then the special also is just so good. First off, they are a free spirit and cerebral unit, which is still an amazing class combination. But they are a universal type of unit. Like, you don't need to run them on a specific team. They provide universal buffs here, massive orb boost, buffs existing color affinities, gets around chain minimum attack down, which is not too necessary, but also just having this amazing super special and swap effect, and having the former royalty tag. This unit is extremely valuable, and still, if you build a certain type of team, not so horrible in Rumble. I mean, she's giving a lot of cooldown to Loki and all these other royalty units, so still usable in Rumble, but mainly for her PvE. Same goes for what's his face, Frankie, amazing in PvE against Strength Super Boss, does a lot for the team. Nami has a really good special, not so much as a captain though, not used in Rumble though. But then we have Usopp and Lilith, still a top 5 regular Rumble legend. I mean, regular legend for both Rumble and PvE content. Like, this unit is so good in PvE, such a timeless unit, because they can provide 3 different types of damage boosting effects, all at a really good multiplier. But then they also have this unbelievably good switch effect, extending attack boost and chain boundaries. So 2-turn buffs of these can last until the final stage if you use the swap effect. But then also provides bomb slots, which is so good because whenever the enemy has orb based damage reduction, bomb slots are never affected, so you can use this unit and also perform super tandem with those slots, proc delay conditional boost since this goes through immunities, and as a captain they can give a chain boundary effect or an attack boost at the start of the quest that will last until the final stage if you're running stage 3 content, right? Because it starts off at 5 turns, then when you move to stage 2 it goes to 3 turns, and then the stage 3, 1 turn remaining. So really powerful captain, sub, and in a Rumble on shooter teams. That action bind they provide is still so deadly because a lot of teams nowadays don't actually get around action bind because it's like the most basic debuff in Rumble, that some teams forget to actually get around it, and that can really destroy a team, that action bind and the CT delay they provide. The sword unit, okay, not horrible. I still think they're amazing in PvE. Kidding Killer and the what's her face, Lilith, I still think are super underrated, especially Lilith. They both suck in Rumble, of course, but this Lilith, bro, she does so much, especially in the current PKA against Colan. She really shines, right? because on stage 4 we get a despair and attack down. She gets around that, but then she provides a 3-turn end of turn damage buff. What this does is in the following stage, on the final stage against Kolan, the enemy has resilience and you can use this to get around that. She also provides an orb boost for 2 turns and stacks existing attack boosts. I mean, turning buffs into stackable buffs is just such a rare and powerful effect. She having that is just really powerful. But then also one of the best or the best type of final tap buff in the game. Just adding 1x damage at the end is just the most impactful last tap ability. She also has barrier penetration, gets around the special limit, uses debuff by 3 turns. Overall in PvE she's a monster. In PvP though, not really used. The Uta, not so good. The rest of the units aren't that crazy, right? But overall part 4 is very powerful. I think if I had a choice, if I didn't have any of these units, I would rather pull on part 4 over part 2, if I'm being honest. Even though part 3 has such amazing pulls of legends, having Gaban there is dissuading me from recommending that part. But then we have part 5 with Emu here. This is the big one, right? So having Emu and Vivi on the same banner, well, first of all, pretty poetic, but either way, it's amazing value. Now Vivi, some may think, okay, because she's not a Super Sugo unit, why should we go for her? Well, of course, anniversary exclusives are way more rare than Super Sugo units, and this Vivi is a timeless character, man. Like, she is treasure map stellar strength v2. She's providing the middle row 15 tons of cooldown, well, middle row royalty or mythical Zoan units anyways. She has that same condition of needing 3 or more of a certain tag. For Stella it was scientists, for her it's royalty characters, and I think her ability here is so much better because she also gives it to mythical Zoan type. I think these units will be way better than to activate twice than the scientist characters. So I'm saying this, if you don't have Vivi, the next co-op duels is going to be a nightmare for you. But also in PvP, man, like, she's doing so much. She's giving 30% CT to royalty units upon appearance. Like, bro, are we looking at this right? She also gives the enemy miss percent up of level 20. That is 100% chance of miss. What miss is just when you perform a normal attack, it doesn't happen, it fails. And each level of miss percent up gives you a 5% chance of it happening increase. So level 20 is perfectly a 100% chance of the enemy missing their normal attack. Now you might think, what's the point of miss? Like, normal attacks don't even really do much damage. Well, it's for characters like Emu here, who in their passive states that when they do damage or when they perform a normal attack and do damage to an enemy, gives himself 5% CT, which is a massive 5 seconds for Emu himself with a 99 CT. So when the enemy fails their normal attack, this will not proc. So against Emu, Vivi is going to be so good to have, especially for making sure all of your royalty units like Loki actually activate their specials before Emu gets that ability bind in, right? But then we also have other massive units for the quick team, like 12th Annie Blackbeard, Walkyrie, Luffy. Both of these are still really solid options if you don't have an established quick team. And then in PvE, we have Oira and Yamato, Zoro and Sanji, but this is a free unit, so don't worry about that. You can get this character from story mode, by the way. Kid-in-law, not so bad. 10th Annie Ace is still super valuable, easily the best aging of the 10th anniversary units. Sabo does so much on inter-rumble teams. He essentially guarantees kills one of the enemy and gives massive haste buffs. The Rocks Pirates here, they didn't really benefit from the new tag update, but they're going to get stronger with all these Elbaf units being a striker focused unit. Overall, I think the Super Sugo pool is very strong here. And then the anniversary exclusives, as a new player, getting this Nami is so important because she gives berries earned by 4x. Now the gap between having her and not having her for a newer player is ridiculous. Now you might think, okay, you don't need to farm berries so much, like you don't need that many berries, right? Well, if you don't have Nami, you're gonna need the Tesoro or Komurasaki legend with level limit break and limit break expansion. Massive investments for newer players, and even then they only get up to a 3x berry boosting captain. So if you don't have Nami, you're gonna be sitting with 2x berries only, which is a massive like 50%, actually 100% reduction. Ridiculous reduction in how much berries you're getting. But also for side teams, if there's ever an in super boss again, she's providing a lot, weakened status and also increased damage taken with base attack boost, matching orbs, and also massive utility for enemy gimmicks. And when side team comes back, she will be amazing in Rumble once again. The amount of CT reductions she's providing is massive. So really valuable unit. Same goes for Boa NL. I mean, if you care about hunting these special magazine characters, then this is a great part, because we have the 2024 2024 unit, which was Nami. Then we have the 2025 One Piece Day unit, which was Boa NL, and then now the new Vivi for One Piece Day 2026. So really cool if you want to focus on these units. Of course, this unit has the Roger Pirates tag, which helps a lot. Gop and Kobe, I think, are still really good if you're running a Navy team, or even just a fighter team. This unit is so amazing, doing so much damage. The Foam Red Luffy, okay. Sabo, bad. Overall, I think this part is very valuable. I mean, having Emu here just adds so much value to the team, man. Like, Emu goes on a lot of teams, not just the world government team. And in PvE, I see a lot of people like downplaying Emu if you don't have the full 4 Emperors team. I still think this unit is amazing even if you don't have that. Emu, definitely want to get this character. There was sneaky about scattering the world government units over all the different parts, whereas maybe on this part here you can get a pretty solid in team going here with Buggy and Kuma. On part 3 here you get the versus Zoro and Gaban and the Jupiter, so you have a very solid Dex team in the making there. And then for the world government team, it's completely scattered. That's super annoying, right? And in the regular legends, we have some heavy hitters here like Van Ogre, top 5 PvE in terms of the regular legends. Brook is still incredible in my opinion. Yamato Otama, I went on a saga a few months ago of just showcasing this unit everywhere, and they are so good in PvE. Christmas Uta is still really solid, but did not get the former Red Air Pirates tag, which I said this in a community post, but the only reason they didn't introduce the former Red Air Pirate tag is so that this unit didn't become broken, because you could slot her on a strength team with the 12th Danny Shanks, who requires you to have one other red hair pirate, and this Uta would fulfill that requirement. But currently we still struggle to get that extra red hair pirate if you don't have Beckman and Yasop. But still, she's great on the strength team, giving massive CT buffs, and I think she also gives us haste, right? Law and Beppo, underrated. Yes, we have Momo here, but at the end of the day, Vivi's also an XP boosting captain, so you don't really need him. Overall, I think this part is one of the stronger ones for sure. So I'm just going to think about this a moment, and then we can come to a final conclusion. Okay, so this is quite nuanced, but overall, I do think part 3 is the most valuable part to pull on. Just because as a new player on the rerollable multi, where you can repeat until you get what you want, you can get the 12th anniversary or the New Year's Kuma, right? That's available on part 4 here. You can get Kuma for free, but Nikabani is not available in that pool from the last time we checked. So I mean, I still need to check if that was updated with the new One Piece Day celebration, but as far as I know, Nikabani having this legend with the Kuma is still unbelievably valuable for new players. So just for that fact, part 3's value is skyrocketing. But then we also have 12th anniversary Shanks, Jupiter, Kizaru is all these Super Sugo units are extremely valuable. Zoro versus Nustro, Roger is incredible quality of life, because yes, for part 5 we can always argue that this part is great for new players in terms of quality of life, because we have access to the new Vivi for XP and then the Nami for berries. But as I said, berries aren't too important. But either way, we do have Roger here on part 3, who gives a 2.25x XP boost, which is the highest in the game right now, and also a 2.25x berries, which is the next best thing you're going to get after the Nami on part 5, right? So part 5 here, I mean part 3 here, I think is the most valuable. Yes, Gaban is the worst of the 4, but he's still going to be extremely valuable for the next few months at least. He's going to help you get those massive numbers in Kizuna Super Boss, and having one of the best characters on the banner isn't necessarily going to be the best thing for a newer player. For a newer player, you want to get the wide variety of broken characters, and I think part 3 is going to give you that. If you are a more experienced player who has a lot of these characters, then I don't think part 3 is worth pulling on. I think then after that, part 4 is then definitely going to be the next best part to pull on. So if you're onto newer player, you have a lot of the characters in part 3 like 12th and Shanks, Nika, Bonnie mainly. Then part 4 is the best one to pull on, because I do think Luffy and Zoro is going to be the most valuable character, at least for PvE going forward. Especially because Vivi and Loki, you want both of them. You don't want just one of them. They complement each other perfectly. You have one, you want the other one. So I think Luffy and Zoro is the best one to go for, because you don't need Gaban for this character to be broken. And as a standalone unit, I do think this is the best of the new characters. And also the part surrounding it is so good, and you can also get this amazing new character that is brand new for banners outside of their debut, right? Overall, and yeah, the regular Sugo-Fest exclusives are amazing. The Super Sugo units are incredible, and then the anniversary exclusives not as strong as the other parts, but overall I think part 4 is the strongest if you have most of these units on part 3. But for beginners, part 3, definitely go for it. After that, between Loki and Vivi, where do I think you should start? I think you should start on part 2, because we do have the Mars and Saturn available here. Most people got Emu, but if you don't have Emu, definitely start at Vivi. I think Vivi is a character that is going to provide massive value going forward. She is an irreplaceable unit, very unique. The only problem I have with her is that she is very restrictive. Like, you need to jump through a lot of hoops for her to work, right? She wants you to have both a where is it now? She wants you to have both a quick and free spirit territory. She wants you to have 6 free spirits. She wants you to have 3 royalties, so 2 besides herself. And then even then, the middle row units have to be I mean, if you're running 3 or more royalties, you're probably going to put those royalty units on the middle row, so this isn't really much of an issue. But either way, and 3 or more slashes, or 3 or more bro 3 or more slashes and 3 or more strats. Bro, the amount of conditions on Vivi is ridiculous, but the payoff is just as ridiculous. I mean, she's providing weakened status, the strongest one by far. This gets up to like a 3x multiplier through immunities. She's getting around damage reduction. She's giving you a full board of super quick slots. She's giving your middle row units double special activation. She's providing a 3-turn chain boundary effect. I mean, bro, it's amazing. Okay, now I didn't read this properly. You don't need to have both this condition and this condition. You need either one of them to get the chain boundary. It's the same 3.5x minimum for 3 turns, but if you can't meet this one, you can at least get this one for a much easier requirement. Okay, I mean, she's still a very conditional unit, but very powerful. She's allowing you to stack your attack boosts and locks your slots. I mean, this unit's really strong, right? But overall, she's not a character you need to get if you don't plan on getting on Loki. So overall, I think part 5 is a bit stronger than part 2 with Loki on it. That's my overall thoughts. Even though part 2 has Mars and Saturn. Let me just structure my thoughts. I can give you guys a clear answer. So for newer players who don't have an established box, it's hard to recommend part 5 because both Emu and Vivi really want you to have an established box of units. Blackbeard, you really want the other Blackbeard pirate units, which a lot of them are hard to get right now. Part 5 is just made for more advanced boxes. You don't need these quality of life characters. It's not the end of the world if you don't have them. Part 2 has a lot more beginner friendly units available. So in my opinion, I'm gonna rank 2 different ways. If you're a new player and if you're a more advanced endgame player. So if you are a new player, part 3 is the best part. Part 2 is the second best part. Part 4 is the third best part, and part 5 is the worst of the bunch, right? But if you have an established box, I think part 4 is the strongest. Then part 5 is the second best. Part 2 is the third best, and part 3 is the worst. Because if you have an established box, Gaban is going to be your main focus. The debut character is going to be your main focus, and Gaban is not worth chasing. So, assuming you have Nikabani, 12th and Shanks, a lot of people will have them. Part 3 is the worst one, but for newer players, it is the worst. I mean, the best, right? So, that's my ranking. I'm happy with that. It is extremely nuanced, so I feel like having 2 separate rankings is extremely important. So, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'll see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like, subscribe. We are on our road to 4,000. So help your boy out. Give that sub, like, comment, and also join the Discord. Shameless plug, right? So I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, and I'm out.